I am bringing in Phil Kim. How you doing, Phil?
Hey, pretty good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Phil is an organizer with the California Nurses Union, and I met Phil during the Bernie Sanders campaign. And since a lot of people who watch my show are Bernie Sanders fans, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you did for Bernie and how you came to get this job?
Sure, yeah. So I had the privilege and honor of working on the Bernie 2016 campaign in a few different areas in Las Vegas, in Seattle, in the Bay Area of California. And the way that happened was in the Sacramento area, we had a Sacramento for Bernie Sanders group that popped up, you know, when Bernie announced last time, and just like groups all over the country did. So I was at the time taking music and recording classes, and after that semester, I was able to join the campaign and go work for Bernie. And that's, of course, where I met a lot of the nurses and their staff. So I had the chance to continue the political revolution working with the nurses. So it's been pretty awesome doing that. It's been a little bit over a year now that I've been with the nurses. And then previously I was with the hotel and casino workers here in the Sacramento area of California. And I was a rank and file activist at one of the local casinos.
Let's talk about Pramilla Jayapal's bill, because you probably just heard Kevin Z say he's very concerned that it doesn't eliminate the for-profit healthcare industry. I've communicated with Holly Mitchell from the nurses, and she has assured me to my satisfaction that, yes, it does. So why don't you talk a little bit about that before we talk about the Barnstorms?
Sure, yeah, I can start with that. So this Pramilla Jayapal, in just a couple weeks here, will be introducing the Medicare for All Act of 2019. And this is basically an updated and, we believe, improved version of HR 676, which was introduced for many years by John Conyers in the House of Representatives. And you know, this is basically more fleshed. HR 676 was a very powerful statement of principles on what a single-payer bill, a Medicare for All bill, should be. And we believe that we have basically fleshed it out and retained it so that it does not allow for profit in our healthcare system. And then I know that we're, after the bill is introduced in a couple weeks, we'd love to have somebody on the show to go in detail about the specifics of the bill. But it's actually more comprehensive. It includes primary care, hospital visits, prescription drugs, dental, vision, women's reproductive care and the right to have an abortion, maternity and newborn care, mental health, long-term care, and of course you get to have the freedom of choice to pick your doctor and your provider. So we're really expanding on Medicare for everybody and guaranteeing healthcare for everybody and saving money at that, because of course single-payer systems are more efficient than the broken and really inhumane system that we have now, which too many people are suffering and not able to get the care that they need to live. So that's a bit about the bill.
And of course, if we had single-payer health care, then there would be more money for teachers, because right now a very good percentage of the education budget goes towards paying health benefits for teachers, in the present and also their retiree benefits. So it's really going to help every sector of our economy to have single-payer. Now, of course, we know that Hillary Clinton famously said single-payer will never, ever, ever happen in her, campaign. And now her clone, Kamala Harris, is all of a sudden she switched over to supporting Medicare for All, because basically she's been stealing Bernie Sanders' platform ever since she decided to run for president. But on the CNN town hall, apparently last night, she said they asked her a question if she is willing to eliminate private health insurance. And she said, yes, absolutely, we have to eliminate private health insurance. And not less than 24 hours later, she backtracked on that statement saying, well, maybe there's a way we can have private health care insurance. So we can tell that even when a 2020 presidential candidate is running on the platform of Medicare for All, she's not totally standing behind it. So we know, and Nancy Pelosi, when asked if we could have it in the agenda when she took over the Congress, she said no. And Dianne Feinstein, of course, mischaracterizes it as government-run healthcare, like the government is telling your doctors and the hospitals what to do. So we have the entire Democratic establishment, including now people I've just mentioned who support Medicare for All, who are not really making it happen. And that's why we need these barnstorms. So why don't you talk a little bit about the barnstorms, and then we'll talk about how people can get involved.
Yeah, totally. So I think, like you were talking about, things have really changed just in the last couple of years. We're at a pivotal moment here where more and more people are realizing that we have such a broken healthcare system where people can't afford the things that they need. The latest polls are all showing that 70% of the American public supports Medicare for all. And as healthcare costs continue to increase, as Trump and the Republicans continue to undermine the Affordable Care Act, people are realizing that we need a real solution. And so what we have to do is we have to translate that 70% support into grassroots pressure on our members of Congress. And so that's where these barnstorms are coming into play, like you mentioned. So coming up February 9th through the 13th, we are launching our National Medicare for All campaign with barnstorms all over the country, where people can learn about Medicare for All and get involved in the campaign. And the beauty of this campaign is that we have thousands of people who want to get involved, and we're giving them a way to do that. So go to medicareforall.org/actions. It's the website right there, and you can sign up to attend the barnstorm closest to you. And if you're wondering what a barnstorm is, it's actually something that's borrowed from the Bernie campaign. So it's basically a mass organizing meeting, and there's over 100 of these happening all over the country, so you can find them in your part of the country. And what we have to do is we have to put pressure on Congress so that the representatives sign on as co-sponsors for the Medicare for All Act of 2019. And we are putting, we're serious about this. We really want it to pass. We want it to go through the committees of jurisdiction and to go to a floor vote. Obviously, we need pressure everywhere throughout all of Congress, but we're also putting a special focus on 24 members of the Energy and Commerce and Ways and Means Committee, Democrats who have not co-sponsored the previous HR 676. So it's important everywhere, but it's especially important in those districts. And in California, we have 4 of those. In the San Fernando Valley, Tony Cardenas. In Riverside, there's Raul Ruiz. We have Nancy Pelosi, San Francisco, because she's the speaker. And there's one more that's escaping me right now that'll come back to me. But they're all on the map. Check out the website. And we're really looking forward to doing this. And I should add one more thing about the bill. So, we've been working with a lot of other organizations. Physicians for a National Health Program has endorsed the new Medicare for All bill in the House. Our Revolution, the Democratic Socialists of America. And, we really think that this has a wider significance than just healthcare. What we're doing here is we're taking 18% of the economy. That's healthcare is currently 18% of the GDP, and we are taking the profit motive out of that. And the wider sort of significance has to do with fighting fascism and fighting racism by making sure that Democrats put forward real solutions. And it's going to take a mass working class movement all across the country to make sure that they do that. It's great that, presidential candidates are starting to come forward with Medicare for All, which Bernie really popularized a couple years ago. Now we got to hold their feet to the fire and make sure that they actually do believe in it, and that they don't put forward watered down half measures, which we're seeing. There's probably like 8 different Medicare for All proposals now out there.
Right. And the public option doesn't cut it.
That's right. The public option does not cut it. For a lot of reasons, and perhaps later for all the different policy reasons, we can have somebody come on the show and explain that. But basically, the public option doesn't doesn't address the fundamental problem of our current broken profit-driven system, because it keeps this fragmented system of insurance companies in place, and that's the real reason why it's so expensive. Yeah. And then it also, more than that, what it does is if we have a public option, the insurance companies will want to cherry pick the healthiest patients to make a profit, and that'll inflate the costs of the Medicare, of the public option. And of course, they're going to say, oh, of course it doesn't work, it's too expensive, and it'll be used as an excuse to try to stop it from being expanded. So the public option is not what we're going for. We're going for the real deal, expanded and improved Medicare for all for everybody.
Now, before I let you go, because I've got a lot of Californians watching, can you speak a little bit about the new bill that you're introducing to replace SB 562. Do we have a sponsor who is going to be more, who is going to advocate more for it than Ricardo Lara did this time? And do you know, can you tell us anything about the bill, if it's going to be the same or different? Is it going to be not so woefully incomplete as it was criticized for? Is it going to have the funding in there? You know, answer some of those questions.
What I can say is that there will be a bill, and we'll find out about it in February, so just stay tuned on the details of it. But basically, it'll be an updated version of SB 562. We believe that we do have a sponsor who's going to be more strongly in favor of it. It'll be revealed publicly within the next few weeks here. I'm not at liberty to say right now, and it's more we have a government relations department that talks to the legislators, and so they're just preparing to make it an effective public, unveiling of the bill. But we definitely, that's still a very high priority. And what we're doing is we're simultaneously fighting on the state level and the federal level, and we believe that these two fights go hand in hand.
Well, thank you very much, Phil, for being on the show. I'm going to let you go now so I can promote my upcoming shows.
Folks could call their member of Congress. There's a phone number. It's 202-858-1717. And that will connect you to the DC office of your member of Congress. And this is a really critical time now because the bill hasn't been introduced. We want it to be introduced with as many co-sponsors as possible, original co-sponsors. So please call your member of Congress. If your member has already co-sponsored, you'll be directed to Nancy Pelosi's office.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, Phil.
Thanks a lot, Lauren.